A little quick mention for this next one over here. I don't even have this linked right here, but it is a movie that we have a much bigger review, so we'll keep it brief. I recommend going out to the theater, surprisingly so, for Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. I didn't think we would think that. Zach didn't get to go to the South by premiere, and we were like, but are you really going to miss much? None of us were looking forward to this movie. You have now caught it. What do you think?
I'm a little more lukewarm than you and Amanda were coming off that premiere. I still think it's a pretty fun time. Like, it's definitely a good time at the movie theater and worth going to. I just like didn't think the jokes hit as much as I wanted them to. I ended up
not as much as Game Night, for sure.
Yeah, definitely not as funny as Game Night. I ended up thinking the funniest bit in the movie was that whole bit where they asked the corpses questions, which they had featured in the marketing already. So it's like I'd already seen
the trailer, bro.
Yeah. I'd already seen the thing that I thought was funniest in the entire film. I don't know. I wanted it to be a little bit more leaning on the comedy, whereas it was very firmly like an adventure movie. Maybe I was thinking comedy. It would be. I was thinking it'd be maybe a little bit more joke forward. Like, it's even less joke forward than like their Spider-Man scripts, I feel like.
I think it's as equal. I've heard people think that it's too comedic. They wanted it to be more action-packed, but they're still scared of the Jeremy Irons one because that one went way too serious. The part I liked about it is it feels like people who are playing a game. It feels like a part of, like, I've never played Dungeons & Dragons, but I understand it's like a mafia-type game. You are acting in it. And I thought they delivered in that perfectly. I think everyone's likable in the movie. You didn't like the big little cameo? That killed me, bro.
I thought it was funny. It was so random. Like, he didn't look like he's got kind of like a very mustache-heavy 5 o'clock shadow going on. So I wasn't so sure.
Funny. Right? It took me the third angle of him to realize it, but I don't know. Yeah. I thought it was fantastic. I thought the action delivered. I thought Rajay, I understand why people like that dude. We have a whole longer review of The Man of the Jedi for South by.
He was my standout. I thought he was extremely good in it. He completely understood what the tone of the movie was. The other thing that I wanted to ask you, because I was thinking about it, is this now Chris Pine's best role? Because I like Chris Pine a lot as an actor, but he's kind of struggled for finding like the right project. And he was in that Star Trek trilogy he was Captain Kirk for a bit, but I feel like those movies have been a little bit memory hold.
I cannot argue with you there. I'm not arguing for Steve Trevor. There's got to be some tiny thing that I like.
There's some movie we're forgetting, I'm sure.
There's got to be something or some cameo.
Because I really like his performance in Into the Woods, but I also don't like Into the Woods very much.
I feel bad for Chris. I love Chris Pine. There's no disrespect to Chris Pine.
Yeah.
He's kind of like the feature in the movies that he leads a little bit. I heard he's directed. He has got a movie on the horizon.
Yeah.
I think it's this.
It's basically like
has not sold it.
Chinatown, but starring him as a pool boy.
Yes. Yeah. The way he pitches it, I like his excitement, but I also like what the premise is about. He wrote, directed it, got Danny DeVito in it. He said he wants to sell it to A24. I don't know. Maybe he's got a second leg in life over here because I think he has no problem getting these roles. But you're right. Are we remembering them? Because he almost feels like he wants to be Harrison Ford, and he's taking the Harrison Ford roles, but we're not remembering him like we do Harrison Ford. Yeah. But he's doing everything right.
I wonder if he's going to be on a similar trajectory to, like, all very different actors, but like a Brad Pitt, where when Brad started to show a little bit of age, wasn't like the extremely handsome leading man, he got to take on some more interesting, memorable roles.
But you still remembered everything prior to that for Brad Pitt. Yeah. That's why I feel bad for Chris. He also gets lost with the Chris's. Personally, I love The Finest Hours. I didn't pull it up right now, but I'm a big fan of The Finest Hours. And I think your answer's right here off the chat. It's off the chat. Devesh is right. It's Hell or High Water. Cleared, in my opinion. Unless there's something else.
Yeah, although that's not like a movie that is extremely well known. Like, you and I really liked it, but it's certainly not going to have
okay. Yeah. Well, his best performance here in terms of popularity, I guess just Star Trek.
Star Trek?
I did feel like people just know Chris Pine. So he's just playing Chris Pine.
That's fair, too. He's a very recognized... I mean, it's probably like getting spit on by Harry Styles, right?
His best role to date.
Yeah.
What's his name too? He's about to be Mario. It's almost like him too. We don't know
Chris
him
Pratt?
from any. He's just. There's an issue with the Chris's. There's an epidemic, pandemic, whatever the word is.
Yeah.
I feel bad for them. They can't break out. They can't break out of the mold. You also cannot name me a Chris Pratt role that isn't just the Chris Pratt role, the Chris Pine role. Honestly, the Chris Evans role. They're all kind of the same in my opinion. So,
Yeah.
hey, it's the minorities in Hollywood, the Chris's. Poor. I hope they're able to survive.
Hopefully one of them catches a lucky break one of these days.
To wrap it up, Dungeons and Dragons sequel, yay or nay?
Yeah, sure. I won't ever watch this movie again, but it's probably worth going to the theater.